some of the sectors expected to be hardest hit by shipping delays, manufacturing and e-commerce. An analyst says that's because air freight is not a substitute for sea freight. And in world news, a heat wave grips part of South Asia, with the El Nino climate phenomenon pushing the mercury to record-breaking highs. And also tonight, more mobile HIV testing to go around Singapore. It's part of efforts to stem late-stage HIV by detecting them before it's too late. Shipment delays in Singapore have more than doubled, hit by a shortage of ships, containers and congestion at ports. This could translate into higher prices for consumers amid an impending supply chain crisis. Now, it all started 2 weeks ago with US President Joe Biden slapping tariffs on a variety of Chinese imports. Products like electric vehicle batteries and computer chips will face levies up to 4 times the current amount. Now, in response, Chinese exporters are now in a mad rush to beat these looming trade restrictions. Average container prices in China, which were already on an uptrend, have spiked even further by 88% in the last 2 months. Now, these ships typically take routes like this one, through the Straits of Malacca, where they'll dock in Singapore. The problem now is that the sheer volume of vessels have gone up, and that's causing congestion at the ports. Now, currently, it takes about 7 days for each vessel to be berthed instead of 1 to 2 days previously. And so far this month, Singapore's port has already received around 1,000 ships compared to just over 600 in April. One analyst says port congestion is an all-time high.
There isn't a lot of spare capacity available to accommodate the increase in built-in delays to their cargo movements and forecasts in the next few months.
Commodity prices will start to rise, especially when Chinese trade starts to accelerate in its activities into the rest of this year.
In other news, companies in Singapore can now get certified to run personalized training for their staff instead of relying on external trainers. That's under a fast-track program supported by SkillsFuture Singapore that's touted to help companies save money and manpower. Seafood restaurant chain Jumbo Group is the first company to complete the program. It says the in-house training, which started in November, has cut training costs by 3/4 based on operational needs and make on-the-job training more efficient. Nationwide. NACE says interest is coming from industries like finance and professional services. The program that began with the retail and food and beverage sectors is now available nationwide. NACE says interest is coming from industries like finance and professional services. Smaller companies lacking training systems can also get help. Separately, the Public Transport Council is considering extending the period of concessionary fares for students after graduation. Transport Minister Chee Hong Tat says this comes from feedback given by commuters. He adds that extended concessionary fees will ease the transition for students on various educational pathways, including those looking to join the workforce. In the meantime, primary, secondary school and junior college students can also convert their existing concession cards to a Simply Go card starting from early September. And this allows for remote top-ups via the Simply Go app. Conversion is optional, and students can remain on the existing card-based ticketing system. And still ahead on news tonight, record-breaking heat in South Asia as El Nino pushes the mercury past 50 degrees Celsius. Plus, Indonesia calls on regional governments to prepare for Welcome back. Time for some world news. While some parts of South Asia are reeling from heavy rain, others are sweltering under record-breaking heat. Residents in India's Rajasthan are facing intense heatwave conditions, with some parts of the state recording highs of 50 degrees Celsius. At least a dozen people in the state have reportedly died of suspected heat strokes in recent days. Doctors in Pakistan are also treating victims for heat stroke at hospitals across the country. The southern province of Sindh has seen temperatures soar as high as 52 degrees Celsius, the summer's hottest reading so far. The heat is expected to worsen in the largest city, Karachi. The searing heat can be partly blamed and drier weather. Things are about to shift, though. Meteorologists say La Nina, Karachi. The searing heat can be partly blamed on the El Nino climate phenomenon, which brings hotter and drier weather. Things are about to shift, though. Meteorologists say La Nina is forecast to take over for the second half of the year. And over in Indonesia, weather officials warn of an impending drought during this year's dry season, which is expected to last until end September. Almost 20% of the country's seasonal zones have entered the dry season, and authorities expect most of Java, Bali and Nusa Tenggara to follow suit in the coming month. They're calling on regional governments to make preparations for the low rainfall to lower the risk of forest fires. And earlier, CNA spoke with Professor Benjamin Horton, who directs the Earth Observatory of Singapore at Nanyang Technological University. And he explains what to expect in Southeast Asia as climate change intensifies and why infrastructure plays an important role.
Southeast Asia is quite a complicated region, and each 2019 and the soil together, that the heavy rainfall caused the soils to be wet, and then we had a catastrophic landslide where many people lost their lives.
And back home, one of Singapore's largest HIV test providers is rolling out more frequent mobile services to boost early detection. The added convenience has been seeing more sign-ups and is part of efforts to stem cases of late-stage HIV that could progress to AIDS. Meantime, some clinics are already seeing around 60% more HIV tests done yearly. Shalencia with more.
It looks almost like any other van parked in a housing estate. Sometimes it also goes to office areas. Demand has been trending up, so the plan now is for the van to make more rounds each month at new places. Currently, the NGO conducts nearly 6,000 such tests each year in this four-wheeler and at its physical clinic. The aim is to
And you can catch the FIFA World Cup 2026 qualifier match between Singapore and South Korea on 6th June from 7:50 p.m. live on Channel 5 and NeWatch. And finally, this year's I Light Singapore is back. Fans of light art installations can head down to Tanjong Pagar, where displays are up for the first time. The 10th edition features this display at Tanjong Pagar Park. 1,500 recycled PET bottles converted into luminous orbs from a collection drive. The 3-week festival opens this Friday with 17 artworks on show. And over at Marina Bay, you can hop on a river cruise shuttle service on most weekends. There are also installations at 2 other places, South Beach and Millennia Walk. This year's theme is centered on sustainability. And that's news tonight. Thank you so much.